Move that out of the way. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the pre-market overview, August 11th. Today is Tuesday, so happy Tuesday to you. I hope your week is starting off well in the markets. Okay, so a couple of reminders. First of all, my name's Becky. So if you want to get hold of me, if you have any questions about anything I cover, you can email me, becky@tradewithufos.com. We do have the support team, support@tradewithufos.com. We're all traders, so you can email whatever question and we are happy to help out. Obviously, being a team as well, the support team are often quicker at responding than individuals. So we would say the majority of the time, direct your questions to those if you want a quicker answer. So support@tradewithufos.com. Okay, so for those that have not been to the pre-market overview before, I'm just going to explain what it is. So every day we send out a newsletter. It's sent Monday to Friday every day. And in that newsletter, we cover 4 of the major markets in the world, where we think they're going to get to and potentially turn, what direction they're going in, the volatility that we expect, plus news that we expect may impact those markets as well. We do the pre-market overview just to expand on it a little bit and explain the concepts and the technology that we're using for those that might be newer to it, to understand a little bit more about the what goes into that newsletter and why we're saying what we're saying. So that's what we're going to go through. If you want to subscribe to the newsletter where you'll get that document every day, just email us newsletter@tradewithufos.com and we will obviously put you on the list for that and get that sent out to you every day. So a couple of reminders. Today being a Tuesday, we have stocks and investing sessions. Stocks at 9 a.m. Eastern, investing at 1 p.m. Eastern. So that's what we have today, being Tuesday. Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, we have futures and options. Over the weekend, we have sharpening sessions. So one of the sessions will be reinforcement of concepts, methodology, bring your questions, do more of a Q&A, because we can expand on it a little bit more on the weekends where we're not under as much pressure to put in live trades in the markets for you guys. So you can ask a bit more sort of conceptual questions, theoretical questions. We also do a psychology sharpening session as well, which is so important to keep what's going on between your ears in check when it comes to your money, when it comes to your trading. That's a very important thing to do if we want to be consistently profitable traders. So I would recommend those sessions as well. So if you go to the website, you'll see which one's which. In terms of classes, I actually need to take this one off because the stocks class has already started. We're about halfway through now. The next class we have is the psychology class. Again, so important, often overlooked. If you go to the website, you'll be able to have a look more in depth on that one. Then we have futures, trading plans, and then this is the next back testing class as well. So you can see the dates there on the screen if you want to have a look. Okay, so just to say as well, for the upcoming courses or for any of the courses we do, they do have unlimited retakes. So if you miss these dates or whatever, you can always take it another time. You can retake it as many times as you need to, depending on the room that we have in the room or the space we have in the room. Okay, so I just need to go through the disclaimer. I'll put it here on the screen. I won't read it to you just because it would take me a very long time. It's quite a long disclaimer. So you're obviously welcome to pause the video if you want to read it. Maybe your eyes can move across if you mute me with my distraction there, and you can read it as you go. Or if you want to, you can go to www.youcantrade.com and get additional disclosure information on there. Basically, what we're saying here is everything that we're doing is intended to be a demonstration of how we use the products. It is ultimately up to you guys when you trade, what sizes you trade. You need to understand there is, of course, a risk involved in trading as well. And just bear that in mind as you move forwards. Okay, right, let's go and have a look at the newsletter. Now we've done all of that. So this is the newsletter we send out. Obviously, this is today's one. We go through 4 of the major markets in the world. So we have the S&P, so one of the major equity indices or indexes. We have oil and gold, 2 major commodities, and then the euro, which when we look at it as the euro US dollar, it's actually the highest traded currency pair in the whole world. And the US dollar by itself is responsible for 80% of transactions worldwide every day too. So we've covered quite a lot there of what goes on out there in the markets. Even if you don't trade those markets specifically, I'm sure there will be correlation, or there's likely to be correlation if you trade other markets. Now, for each of them, we go through a daily time frame. Of course, different things happen on different time frames. So for most people, the daily is involved, whether you're a longer term investor or a short term trader. You'll have the daily charts probably in part of your your analysis. So that's why we chose the daily. But again, bear in mind, if you use much smaller timeframes or much bigger timeframes, things are different. Now, for each of the markets, we go through climate, which is basically the trend or direction or environment that we're in. Are we going to the upside? Are we going to the downside? And what are the probabilities associated with that? We then look at propagating, which tells us how long can we expect that climate to continue? How long can we expect to keep going up for or keep going down for? Again, based on probabilities, statistics, what averagely happens in these markets, and where we are now relative. So on the right-hand side of this, tells us what normally happens in those markets. How long do those markets normally go either up or down for? On the left-hand side, it tells us where we are now relative to that average movement, relative to that normal movement. So I'll go into that a little bit more when we cover it. We also want to look at nearest UFOs. So UFO stands for unfilled order. What that means is where we expect there to be buy orders that could push price up or sell orders that could push price down, and where those are on a chart to give us an idea of where price could turn. So to find our nearest UFOs, we use our Auto UFO app. I'll show you it on the chart in a second. That's what's highlighting for us on a chart where those orders are likely to be. And for the climate and the propagating, we get the figures there from our Auto Climate app, which again, I'll show you on the chart in a second. So we'll go through for each of the markets, we'll go through climate, the propagating and the UFOs. We're also going to come down and understand about volatility. So volatility, we get the numbers from the current implied volatility. Now, what volatility tells us is how fast we expect markets to move or how far we expect them to move within given periods of time. Now, the current implied volatility numbers here, the ones you can see as a percentage, they tell us, or they show us, the average opinion of professional options traders in this market. So when professional traders of options, and it is mainly professional traders of options, especially in these big markets, when they're buying and selling the option and therefore setting the price of the option, inherent in what they're willing to buy or sell it for is the risk they're willing to take based on how fast price will move. So in effect, this reflects their opinion as to how fast price will move or how far it will move within given periods of time. So it's all done as a percentage on an annual basis. So that tells us the movement we expect up or down in 1 year based on its current value. So I'll come back to volatility again. We go through it per market. What we do once we understand the yearly number, we can break that down into what we expect per day in terms of movement, what we expect per week, and what we expect per month. And we'll go through each of those. Then we'll come down and have a look at news before we round off. So what to do? We are going to start with the S&P. We're going to look at SPX.X. That's the symbol on TradeStation there for the index. So our Auto Climate app is showing here at the bottom. Now, Auto Climate, like I said, gives us an idea of what direction we're going in and the probabilities associated. It tells us that information by showing us one of three things. Either it's a thick blue dot, which is what we see here. Thick blue dot tells us that we have a confirmed upwards climate. We have movement to the upside and we have probabilities to the upside. It could be a thick red dot. That tells us we have probabilities to the downside, that it's a confirmed downwards climate, we're moving to the downside, and we have probability to the downside. Or it could be a thin dot of either color. If it's a thin dot, doesn't matter the color still really tells us the direction, but the thinness of the dot tells us that it's an unconfirmed climate, meaning we have less probabilities, meaning most of the time we're going to choose as traders not to do anything on those tests. So in this example, we see a thick blue dot telling us we're in a confirmed upwards climate, probability to the upside. That's what we see there from that thick blue dot. Now, in terms of UFOs, unfilled orders that are likely to turn price, our closest buy UFO is here. That's showing us there by our sort of green flying saucer that we see there. The numbers for that are 3294.61 to 3284.53. Closest stack of sell orders just here. That's with our red UFO, showing at 3373.23 to 3393.52. Okay. So we saw that we had a confirmed upwards climate. We show that on the newsletter by just showing you a green arrow pointing upwards. If it was unconfirmed, like we have down here, we put a little cross in it or cross next to it. As it was confirmed, then no cross, just an arrow pointing to the upside, telling you we have a confirmed upwards climate. Now, what we see here is that normally the S&P would go up for 11 candles on a daily chart. I'm just going to round up that number. All of the numbers on the right-hand side, I'm going to round them up, whatever the decimal place. So we can see there that we would expect the S&P to go up for 11 candles on a daily chart. And we are now on candle number 8. So we still have probability that this is likely to continue for another couple of days. Again, not to say it always will. We have just hit that sell UFO. We're within the sell UFO at the moment. So of course, it doesn't always work out that we hit exactly what the statistics suggest every time. We do go outside of that, of course. It's just about putting as many odds in our favor as possible. And at the moment, the propagating figures are telling us that we do have probability for a continued move to the upside for at least another couple of days. And we have a confirmed upwards climate as well, so probabilities to the upside. The only thing that potentially counteracts that is that we have a sell UFO that we've just hit. We expect sell UFOs to push price downwards. So we've got climate pushing to the upside, but UFOs, sell orders pushing to the downside. So those two forces playing off against each other there. So we'll see what happens, I guess. Okay, so when it comes to movement on the S&P, we look at VIX.X. And from that, we can see that we would expect a movement up or down in the S&P in 1 year of 21.16%, meaning in 1 day, a movement up or down of 44.79 points. In 1 week, a movement up or down of 98.61 points. And in 1 month, a movement up or down of 205.27 points. Okay, so next market, we're going to look at oil. We're using @CL. That's the continuous futures contract for oil. Let me show you that here. Okay, and we need to squidge this one down a little bit so we see what we need to see. Okay, just about. There we go. So once again, we have a thick blue dot on the bottom there, a confirmed upwards climate, telling us we have probabilities to the upside, and that's what we see here from our Auto Climate app. Now, in terms of UFOs, our closest buy UFO is here, 26.03 to 25.52. And we can see there we're just nestled on top of another one. So we have two UFOs just on top of each other there, showing as our buy UFOs, or green UFOs there on the chart. Closest sell orders is 53.55 to 55.43. That's the closest stack of sell orders as shown there by our red UFO. And as we see, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, maybe slightly closer to the sell UFO, but not really close at all, kind of in the middle between these two stacks of orders, which is why we haven't really seen price do much recently, because we haven't really been near any stacks of orders that can push it one way or the other. Okay. So we saw we had a confirmed upwards climate, a thick blue dot. Normally, we would expect oil to go up for 7 candles on a daily chart, and we're on candle number 1. So we have probabilities that that climate is likely to continue to the upside. And like we said, at the moment, not close to any sell UFOs or buy UFOs really that could push price either up or down. So for the time being, providing there are no new UFOs that come into the market and change things, for the time being, we have our probabilities there to the upside. Okay, so looking at movement on oil, we look at OVX.X, and we can see from that we would expect a movement up or down in 1 year on oil of 35.74%. Meaning in 1 day, a movement up or down of 0.96 points. In 1 week, a movement up or down of 2.12 points. And in a month, a movement up or down of 4.41 points. Okay, next market, we're going to look at GC. That's the continuous futures contract for gold. So @GC. Okay. So gold is an interesting one. Once again, confirmed upwards climate, thick blue dot telling us we have probabilities to the upside. Closest stack of buy orders is here, 1836.7 to 1825.9. Now, we don't actually have any sell UFOs on the chart at the moment. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, as we've literally just started to see price turn over a little bit there. Wouldn't be surprised if we see new sell UFOs come into the market now. But it could obviously at any point turn up again and create new buy UFOs. We don't know. But for the time being, we have no sell UFOs. We have no stacks of sell orders being shown to us here by our Auto UFO app. We have a confirmed upwards climate, and we have our closest buy UFO at 1836.7 to 1825.9. So normally, gold would go up. So we saw we had a confirmed upwards climate. Gold would go up for 7 candles on a daily chart, and we're on candle number 17. So we are quite overextended there to the upside, although like we've seen, prices literally just started to turn over a little bit. So potentially this could be the coming to the end of this move to the upside. Now, of course, like I said before, sometimes we fall outside of probabilities, and we can see that here, twice overextended as to what is normal on these markets to the upside. That's not to say that it won't continue to break that. We've seen that happen many times before, where it continues to break to the upside or the downside, breaks what we would expect, breaks what the probability suggests. But bear in mind, the further we go past what the probability suggests, the less likely we are to keep doing that. I always make this analogy, but I think it's an effective one. Pull an elastic band and keep pulling it. The likelihood is it's going to contract on itself. It's not going to allow you to keep pulling it. And so it's the same concept here. We wouldn't expect a market to continue to break the statistics. The more we break the statistics, the less statistically likely it is to keep doing that. Okay, so like we said, no sell UFOs at the moment, but coming to the end, or statistically coming to the end of what's likely to happen on this market in terms of the upside, and potentially seeing the market start to turn over there. But we'll see. At the moment, no sell UFOs. In terms of movement on gold, we use GVZ.X or GVZ.X. That's the better way to say it. So we would expect a movement up or down in 1 year of 23.89%. Meaning in 1 day, a movement up or down of 30 points. In 1 week, a movement up or down of 66.1 points. And in 1 month, a movement up or down of 137.6 points. Okay, last market, we're looking at the Euro US dollar. So that is the spot Forex currency pair, Euro USD. Okay. So I'm just going to move that there just in case my face is in the way, up there on the right-hand side. So this is the first climate we're looking at that's not confirmed. So it's kind of maybe hard to see that little dot, and there's a reason for that, because it's unconfirmed. There's less probabilities. It is a red dot, which tells us that we are in a downwards trend or a downwards movement, but it's unconfirmed, meaning we have less probabilities to that downside. And so most of the time we choose to do nothing on days like this. Now, in terms of UFOs, we have a whole bunch of buy UFOs, one on top of the other, just consistently going back and sort of on top of each other, right? The closest one is 1.1597 to 1.1507. And we can see here buy UFOs doing exactly what we expect them to do. So here we have this buy UFO as shown there by that box. Price went up from there, came back down, hit the UFO at this point, went up, came back down, hit the UFO again, went up. That's what we expect buy UFOs to do, is push price up, and we can see that there quite clearly from the Euro US dollar chart. Now, closest stack of sell orders is this one just above us at 1.1862 to 1.1917. Again, just rounded that where it needs to be. Okay, so the euro up until today was on a continuous move to the upside, and we had a confirmed upwards climate. We had, I think we were on candle number 25 or 26 out of 4. So we were really, really overextended to the upside. And again, we don't expect those to keep doing that, right? They lose probability every time they go past it. So today is the first day that we've seen, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Today is the first day that we've seen that we have a downwards climate. It is unconfirmed, but we've started to see now a change of climate. That's not to say it will continue. It might continue to the upside again. That often depends on the orders, although as we see, we're kind of sat between them at the moment. Just coming up, it looks like, to touch that sell UFO. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Okay. So normally to the downside, the Euro US dollar would go down for 4 candles, and we're on candle number 1. So if this climate confirms itself, we would expect a continued move to the downside at least for a couple of days. Okay. So in terms of movement on the euro, we use EVZ.X. That's the symbol that we use to get volatility figures for the euro. And from that, we see that we would expect a movement up or down in 1 year of 7.66%, meaning a movement up or down in 1 day of 57 pips, up or down in 1 week of 125 pips, or up or down in 1 month of 261 pips. So again, the volatility numbers give us an idea of how fast we're likely to see price move, or how far we expect it to move within given periods of time. The climate and the propagating give us an idea of in which direction we're likely to see that movement happen. And the nearest UFOs give us an idea of where that climate might be likely to turn, where we might be likely to see price change direction. Okay, so coming down now to an indirect force in the markets. Now, the reason I say that is because the most direct force that can move price up or down are buy orders and sell orders. That's it. Now, there can, of course, be many reasons as to why there would be buy orders or sell orders, which is why forces like the news, like reports, they're an indirect force. They're not buy and sell orders themselves, but they can create them. So indirect force in the markets. Now, we actually have nothing today. Today is obviously Tuesday, August 11th. So nothing today coming out that we would expect to have high impact on the markets. What we do is we go to fxstreet.com/economic-calendar. We filter by high impact news and by US markets. So if you want to trade or you want to look at things outside of that that criteria, you can go to the website, play about with the filters there and change what you're looking at. But for us, for now, nothing coming out today that would have high impact on US markets that we can see, that we know of coming out. Of course, we know unexpected things happen, but in terms of reports that we expect, nothing high impact for today. Okay, so a couple of reminders before we round off. If you want to join the fun and be part of our futures, stocks, investing, sharpening, options, psychology sessions, support and all of that, you can join us, tradewithufos.com/you-can-trade. It's a free 14-day access. So try us out for a couple of weeks, see if you like it, go from there. Upcoming courses, the next one is the psychology class. So if you go to tradewithufos.com/psychology live, you'll learn a little bit more about how we do that class and what's included. Again, psychology is so often overlooked, whereas I would say it's probably one of the biggest reasons why people struggle when they trade. So if you haven't looked into trading psychology already, I would highly recommend it. And if you want to do that with us, of course, that's that class that you can look into. Any of the courses you can register for and get an additional one for free at the moment. It's basically like a buy one, get one free deal. Now, the second one you pick has to be the same or equal value to the first one. Sorry, that's the same thing. The same or lesser value than the first one. So I would go to the website again, see what courses are available, see which ones you want to do, and see how you can put that together in such a way where you make the best use of that deal. If you have questions on anything I've covered, you're welcome to email me at becky@tradewithufos.com or email the team support@tradewithufos.com. Today being Tuesday, we'll see you in the stocks and then investing sessions if you're joining us from Inside Tradictive. And also at 4:15 p.m. Eastern, my colleague Wayne will be looking at what did happen in the markets, what went as expected, what didn't go as expected, what can we learn from it, and sort of reflect on the day. So you can join him in that session as well. Otherwise, I will be back tomorrow morning. So I hope you guys have a good trading day, have a good Tuesday, and I will see you